Hello fellow Star Wars fans and action figure collectors, Finley002 here with another Star Wars action figure customizing project. Now what I've got before you here is Emperor Palpatine from the Saga collection, I believe. Now this is widely considered one of the most, if not the most, horrific figure ever made of this character. And it's true. It's pretty bad. I believe one collector referred to this as a Tim Burton interpretation of the character, which one could easily agree with. It's just pretty bad. However, the sculpt, if you can see past the hood and the cape and the arms and pretty much everything, if you could just see past that, the facial sculpt and the hands are actually pretty good. Pretty good to the point where I think it's salvageable as far as customization goes. Now I don't know how the toy industry works. I could only assume that there's someone who comes up with a concept, which is then passed down to someone who goes and designs the figure, and then that's all passed down to an artist to sculpt it. Now, if that's true, then I say the artist or the sculptor did a bang-up job for what he had to work with. Everyone else in that chain of command totally failed, but the artist did a fantastic job of capturing Emperor's face from Return of the Jedi and the hands in the pre-Zap Luke pose. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to cut the video here. I'm going to cut off the hood and the outer robe, and we're going to take a look at what lies underneath. Alright, stand by. Alright guys, so here is the Emperor Palpatine figure without the hard plastic outer robes, and as you can see here, get a shot of that facial sculpt. Again, everyone has their own opinions. I just think that of all the figures that have been released of the Emperor, this is the closest one that we get to the Return of the Jedi version of the Emperor. And I think, as far as a neutral face that's not glaring, that's not screaming, that's not laughing or smiling maniacally, this one hits it pretty close to the mark. Now, as you can see, this by itself is still a pretty bad action figure. Sculpt aside, this action figure still sucks. No elbow articulation, just shoulders and swivel wrists, and I think he can swivel at the waist, but with that outer robe it was completely pointless. And same with the head. He's got sort of like a swivel and pivot head, but with that outer robe on, you couldn't make any adjustments whatsoever. It was pointless. And also, if you'll notice, he's only got half a head, or at least 3/4 of a head. Because of that outer robe hindering all movement, I guess they thought, well, what's the point in wasting plastic? Let's just sculpt what we can see. So yeah, he's a little deficient as far as his head goes. So yeah, overall, pretty bad action figure. Now, again, I'm going to take a break here, and I'm going to put on a soft goods robe. I think I learned this tip from Budget Jedi in one of his videos, and I want to show you what you can do to vastly improve this action figure. Alright, so take another break. Alright, and we're back, and as you can see, I've put on a soft goods robe. Now this robe came with the Darth Maul action figure from 1999, the one that the Darth Maul that comes with his speeder bike, or his Sith speeder accessory. That's really the only way you can get this particular robe with this type of thread count. It's really well done as far as the choice of fabrics that they use. Ever since that Darth Maul was released, they came out with other Darth Mauls with robes, but the robe was kind of like this. It's this really crappy, like very shiny material that just doesn't wear well. Like the hood doesn't fit properly. It's just a horrible robe. But this robe only comes with the 1999 Darth Maul in his Sith speeder, which you can get relatively cheap if you're lucky on eBay. I think $10 for the whole shebang, including shipping and handling. But like I said, if you're lucky. So yeah, I think this drastically improves this figure. I think right now he looks dead on like he did in Return of the Jedi. Now, as you saw with the figure with the Roboff, he's still lacking, horribly lacking, in articulation. So if you just want a display piece for some diorama, you can stop here. However, I want to try and get this Emperor with 14 points of articulation. I don't know, just personal challenge, I guess. And I'm going to use this figure right here, which has been released multiple times. I think the Legacy collection first, and then, you know, Revenge of the Sith collection, and just different heads, different faces. But this body has been used a lot. Pretty much perfect. As far as an Emperor body with 14 points of articulation. His shoulders are a little buff. I mean, you know, this guy's been working out, you know, compared to the withering old guy shoulders of that we've got here and in this Emperor. So I don't know how it'll look afterwards. But yeah, I'm gonna try and basically just do a face transplant. I'm gonna cut this guy's face out, put it on this guy's body, who actually comes with a complete head and a ball socket neck. I think I'm gonna do a hand transplant too. I really do like the hands here of this Emperor, who looks like I said, just about to zap Luke with his lightning. These hands are cool too. They're very well sculpted, but it just looks like he's got a really bad case of arthritis. But this guy, you know, he hunches well, and he'll be able to sit if you ever decide to scratch build your own throne, or get that one throne. Actually, they did release a throne back in Power of the Jedi or Power of the Force collection with an Emperor who could only sit. But yeah, that throne was pretty nice. But anyways, that's what I'm going to attempt to do. Hopefully all will go well, and I will pick up the tail end of this video after that, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, you guys, and here he is. I actually am surprised at how well this figure ended up coming together. I thought I was going to have to make a lot more adjustments in order to get these two different figures to coexist, or, you know, all the different parts to coexist with one another. I guess I'll just go ahead and start with what I did with the wrists. Fairly simple, you know, nothing too extraordinary. I just cut off the hands that I wanted to keep at the wrist, obviously. And as for the hands that came with the body that I wanted to keep, I just cut off just past the sleeve. You can't really tell here, I'm sure, but just past the sleeve, I cut off the hand to get rid of those. The purpose being is that if I just cut off the tiny little peg and glued it onto the newer hands that I wanted to keep, I thought that it would be more likely that if I made any adjustments to the hands afterwards, you know, manipulated the hands later, that the pegs would just snap off inside and be left inside the forearm. So by cutting it just past the sleeve, I left a significant surface area, a disc-sized remnant of the wrist, so that there'd be more surface area for these for the hand to adhere to, if that makes any sense. Does that make sense? Anyway, so that's what I did with the hands. So they're less likely. I think the bond now is much stronger, so if I manipulate the hands, less likely to break off. Okay, so after giving you some decent beauty shots of Emperor Palpatine here, let me move on to what I did with the head. I'm not sure if the quality of this video is gonna help. I don't know if you've noticed in some of my other videos, but I leave these figures sort of unfinished. Either, you know, just the primer paint is still showing, or I just don't paint it at all. So that even though I'm telling you what I did, it should be fairly easy to see what I did. So hopefully it shows up here. So basically, let me get that in focus there. Yeah, I made that incision, or I sliced off the face, like I said, trying to avoid the ball socket joint in there. So I sort of did it at a slight angle, so as not to mess up the ball socket in the head. And I eyeballed it basically, and slicing off the face that I wanted to keep. And luckily, the proportions were right. So, for those of you doing this at home, all I can say is good luck. May the force be with you in eyeballing that measurement. But luckily, I was able to retain a decent proportion. I might have cut off too much of the face. His head looks a little long, but who's going to see that with the hood up? But luckily, the dimensions of the face matched almost perfectly with the head. So very little trimming. I just sort of smoothed off the edges when I made that cut, but otherwise, almost a perfect match. So I'm very pleased with that. So yeah, now I'm very happy with my ultimate Emperor Palpatine. Now the only downside to this, if I have to go and rant about or complain about something, as much praise as I gave this hood before, as much praise as I gave it, the only downside to that is that if you ever make any adjustments, you raise his arms or whatever, you have to fiddle with the hood now. You have to adjust it so that it looks decent and doesn't look like this, doesn't look dumb. So that's really, this figure's perfect for display. Once you fiddle with it and you get it just right. But as far as playability goes, if you're OCD like me, you're like, that looks dumb, let me adjust it, blah, blah, blah. But as far as display, it's perfect. So, just to show you how much of a dork I am, I have two Emperor Palpatines. Obviously, this is, just like before, this is sort of unaltered. It's just the basic Legacy collection with the outer robes cut off, and that's it. This robe is the plastic shiny robe that comes with every robed Darth Maul ever since the 1999 Sith Speeder robe. Every other robed Darth Maul comes with this crappy, low-quality, shiny robe. And this hood, also Darth Maul, but from the vintage collection. And I can only speak for myself, but I think we all have this hood because if you consider yourself a die-hard Star Wars fan or Star Wars action figure collector, you have to admit we all have we all went out of our way to get that Darth Maul from the vintage collection. So you're either displaying this with your Darth Maul, or you're like me and thought it didn't match well with the cloth robe, so you just threw this hood into the parts bin. That being said, when you get a plasticky looking low quality robe like this, I think the plastic hood aesthetically blends well. It actually looks like it may be part of one whole robe instead of two distinctly separate pieces, like it does when you put it on your vintage collection Darth Maul. So I think aesthetically these two items work well together. So basically what I did, I took the crappy Darth Maul robe and I just removed the thread that held on the little skimpy hood, and I tossed that, and then I took Darth Maul's plastic hood, and it sets rather well on him, I think, and it, obviously it's sculpted to drape just perfectly, and it shrouds his eyes just right. So I think for a play item, anyways, that this combo works great, and you never have to fiddle with his hood like you do with this one. So there's, two distinct options that you can go with. You can go with the perfect display Emperor Palpatine for your dioramas and such, or, if you have a kid, or if you're playing around with your action figures or whatever, this guy's perfect because you don't have to fiddle around with him. He's there, and he works, and he looks great. So I hope that helped in some weird way, giving you some options to create your own definitive Emperor Palpatine, or at least create a holdover Emperor Palpatine until Hasbro finally gets around to making their definitive Return of the Jedi version of Emperor Palpatine. We'll see. But until then, I've gone on long enough, so let me just go ahead and sign off by saying thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps, and may the Force be with you. Alright, you guys. Bye.